What's up everyone, Gids here for another video. And today we will be doing some tips and tricks for everyone out there, for beginners especially, on this new game called Once Human. And this game right now is in CBT 3, so meaning it's not yet out in the public, and this CBT is for NA and EU specifically really. So we don't have a good thing, but good thing we were invited to test it. And here we go with some tips and tricks that I've learned since playing this game for like almost a week already. So let's go. Okay, first thing to teach you guys is about the tiers in this area. So as you spawn into the game, you will generally be starting off in this area right here. And we call this tiers because you'll see later in the weapons. But for now, this is called the tier 1, Deadsville right here. So you'll see this icon. Well, it also looks like a tier. Like tiers, you know. But anyways, this is tier 1 around Deadsville. We have tier 2 down here on Mayor's Market. And we have tier 3 here at Greywater Camp right here, up right here. So those first three tiers will be what is available for everyone at the start of a season for this game. So this game usually goes in seasons. So it's like every week you're gonna get an update, or you're gonna progress the season. So it goes in phases. The game goes in phases. And as soon as week 2 comes in, you'll be able to unlock tier 4 and tier 5. So right now, this is tier 4 right here, Tall Grass Inn. And tier 5 is right up here, Blacktail. Okay, so why is this important? So if you go to your weapons right here, you'll see the tiers right here, right? So you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and tier 5. So you'll see here the materials that you will be needing are like different for each of the tiers. And the thing that you want to note here is that the tier that you have here is corresponding to the area as well. So tier materials are based on those areas. So for example, the rustic crossbow right here, that is tier 2, requires standard parts, cotton fabric, and beryllium crystals. So beryllium crystals, standard parts, and cotton fabric are usually found in tier 2 area. So it's going to be around Mayor's Market. So if you loot around areas that are around here, around Broken Delta, right? Broken Delta is the area, right? That's gonna be the place where you can find tier 2 materials, okay? Especially beryllium crystal, because that's unique to this area, okay? It's unique to Broken Delta. And check tier 3, it has vanadium crystals. Also have refined parts and carbon fiber fabric. In higher tier areas, you'll be able to find the fabrics and stuff. Vanadium crystal is specific to tier 3. So if you look at settlements like this, right, you'll be able to see the drops, rewards that you can get from these areas. And you can see there's vanadium crystals right here, right? So it's the third reward right here, right? Third reward right here. It's usually found in tier 3 because if you go to other tiers, like for example, this is tier 4 right here, and you check the rewards, right? It's different now. It's different. Okay? So that's no longer the same materials that you can get from tier 3 areas. So those are tier 4 materials. Okay? So that's something you have to keep in mind. Now, whenever you're crafting these items right here, it's usually preferable that you craft the highest tier available to you, but you have to take note, there are also levels that you have to hit before you can equip certain types of weapons or tiers of weapons. So I'm not sure tier 2 what the level requirement is, but for tier 3, your character needs to be level 20 already. Tier 4, you need to be level 30 already. And tier 5, you need to be level 40 to be able to equip tier 4 weapons. When you're crafting tiered weapons, you will not be crafting or upgrading your current weapon. So that's something to keep in mind. So if you have a tier 3 weapon equipped and you want a tier 4, then you're going to be crafting a whole new equipment, right? Whole new equipment that will be replacing your current weapon. Okay, tips about the weapons that you have. So whenever you're equipping a weapon, again, I mentioned the tier changes, right? So if you go up a tier, you can just go ahead and change the weapon that you're currently equipped with. But something to think about or note is that you also have mods in here. So when you go to your weapons, it usually tells you to go equip a mod as well. So it's always recommended to have a mod equipped on a weapon because you can always freely equip and unequip mods. So there's no downside in equipping a legendary mod right away, or a purple or a blue or a green one. Okay, so it doesn't matter, you just have to equip it right away. Next, we have accessories as well. Accessories, you can just swap it over, right? It's the same as mods. Really, like you can just swap it over once you've upgraded weapons. Okay, same thing with cosmetics, of course. Okay, so it applies to all the gears, right? So whenever you modify them, there's gonna be mods here that you can just change anytime you want and equip and unequip them anytime you want as well. The only thing that doesn't really pass on over to other equipments is calibration. So if you go to your weapons workbench over here, it says calibration with letter J. And this is basically enhancing the weapon. So you can see here, this thing is +3, and you can enhance it to +4. This thing's +2. You can enhance it to +3. So we can see here that we are using materials like aluminum. Aluminum is basically a tier 4 equipment or tier 4 material. So you get that from tier 4 areas. And that's because this is a tier 4 weapon, right? So if we go to a tier 5 weapon, it's going to be tungsten that's required for this one. But you can see here, it also says decomposition return 100%. So basically, whatever materials like stardust source and aluminum ingots that you've used on this weapon, once you've upgraded and you go to your disassembly bench right here and disassemble the weapon or equipment, you'll be able to get all those materials back 100%. But at around +4 or 5, I think, for weapons, I think +5. For weapons, the decomposition return will become 70%. So you're not going to be able to get 100%. So it's pretty safe to get it to +4 if you have the materials. If not, then that's fine as well. But this gives you a lot of extra damage if you get them upgraded. Next up is for the teleportation areas, right? So this game is an open world game. So you're free to do whatever you want around the world. So while you're in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 areas, you're actually you're allowed to freely just move into any of those zones. And it's pretty important for you to actually unlock the teleportation towers so that you'll be able to move ahead, especially if you're skipping the main quest like a real gamer would. Go for all the side quests, explore everything before proceeding to the main quest, right? You can just go ahead and open all the teleportation towers just so when you need it for the main quest, you'll be able to teleport to them right away and it's not going to be as hard. Next up is for the Deviants right here. So Deviants are like pets that you can collect in the game. So these are the guys that you'll be able to find around the world and you'll be able to capture them. There are three different types of Deviants. So there are some that are for the territory. There are some that are for combat. Oops, not it. This one. That are for combat, and there are some that are gadget based, right? So these are the three types of deviants, and territory deviants usually collect stuff for you, or usually they do something around your base if you deploy them or you put them in these cages for your bases. Combat deviants are basically deviants that you can summon for combat. So for example, here I have a wolf. I have a wolf deviant, so I can just summon him. And he's auto-attacking, but I don't see him at the moment over here. Where is he? Anyways, yeah. So combat deviants will be able to help you in fights. And gadget deviants will be producing materials right here that you can craft special items with. Okay, so those special items, it depends on what you actually want. But usually you can just craft them in your supplies workbench. Like, for example, this one, Utter the Light, the Weaver, Spring Leg, Space Twister, Morph Crumbs, and Crystallis Elixirs. Okay, so those are the things that you can do with the Deviants. And there's a pretty useful tool that I'll be sharing to you today. I'll link it in the description as well. Okay, so this is the interactive map that's made by the Chinese community. So you'll see here, there's a lot of Chinese characters here as well, but we have auto-translate here anyway, but that's pretty much all that we can do. But it's still very, very useful. If you've played Genshin Impact or Tower of Fantasy, maybe, I don't know if they have this in Tower of Fantasy, but Genshin Impact had this one wherein people have already mapped out almost everything in the game that you can find. So we have chests, crates, morphic crates, elites, right? Moving houses, accessories, deviants, right? They're mapped out in the world already, so you won't have a hard time in trying to get something that you really want. So if, for example, you're going to use this one to try to find deviants that you need, then you can just filter out everything, right? and leave the deviants, right? So you have Logging Beaver, Gingerbread House, Jephosaurus, Frog the Leaper, right? So those kinds of things, right? So you can just go ahead and farm these things, look for the stuff that you actually really want in your base, deviants that you need, then this is the way to go. So these things, you don't have the name for it, but you can just translate. I'm actually using ChatGPT to do this. Butterfly's dream. Okay, so you can actually get the butterfly here. Okay, that's cool. I have another one over here. The staring black cat. Okay, so a lot of unique deviants are here as well in the game that you can find. And again, this tool is very, very useful. And for me personally, I use this one to go for accessories, which are these green things right here. So accessories are the weapon attachments that you put into your weapons, actually, so to improve their stats. So mainly those are the things that I use this tool for. And it's usually the puzzles. It shows you where the puzzles are. But if you don't want to use this one and you want to explore the game on your own, then go ahead and do that, right? Again, it's an open world game. It's all up to you what you want to do in the game. And I'm just sharing you tools on what you can do. Okay, next up is XP grinding. So the grind in the game is going to be really hard if you're not really doing the main quest and side quests. So I recommend doing a lot of side quests and main quests. But if you don't want to do that, of course, there's still a way for you to gain XP. And one of the ways is basically just mining a lot of stuff like this thing right here. Mining a lot of iron ores if you want to. So yeah, basically mining ores and then smelting them will be giving you a lot of XP. The higher tier ore you will be smelting, the higher the XP, of course. And this is like for 3 minutes right here. So for example, if you will be smelting a lot of tungsten, you'll be gaining a lot more XP. But keep in mind, this is going to require acid. So let's talk about this one later on in a future video because acid is one of the most sought after materials in this game because it's a little bit harder to actually get them if you're not farming mobs. Those are usually the main ways to gain XP. So most recommended way to gain XP is to do side quests, and side quests will usually be indicated by blue exclamation points like this one. And then of course your main quest is going to be indicated by this yellow indicator right here. And those will be of course the main sources of XP. You can look at this one. It gives 15k XP, right? And the blue ones, well, this is 1100 XP, is 1100 XP because these were side quests at level 23 recommended level, right? Level 32 recommended level. So they're not up there yet, but these XPs that you can get from these things are usually substantial enough to push you over to higher levels. There will also be this. So another tip is to get this guy daily. So every day you will have a chance to actually take down the boss monster, which is this guy. So what you do is to just shoot his arms. Is it arms or legs? Right? So once you take him down, he's not actually going to die. So this guy's immortal basically. So what you want to do is to wait for him to pop out or to drop down and loot the gear crate and get out. Right? So you can get this one daily. So there's a lot of valuable loot that you can get. And of course, these guys are going to chase after you. You don't have to kill them. You just have to run if you want to. But if you want to kill them, you are free to do so as well. It's also a good source of acid if they ever drop acid. Just 3 acid. That's very cheap. Right? So basically, yeah, try to hunt this guy down every day if you can. And there's also another one which is the moving house, which I haven't found yet, but that one is a weekly thing as well. Okay, so always remember, of course, as well, to be joining all party events or public events that you will be seeing here. Well, except this one. I don't really like this one, Search of Fish event. So you'll be able to get different kinds of fishes. Well, there's going to be so much more variety of fishes that will come up. But I don't really have time to do this one. But there are also PvP public events that will come up, like the jellyfish ones. There's a disco event. There's things where you have to eliminate stuff, right? So always join those events because it's gonna be related to the next tip that I'll be telling you about, which is getting energy links. Energy Link is like the main currency in this game. So you can see up here, top right, that's how much Energy Links I have. And this one's especially important when it comes to unlocking your mimetics right here. Okay, mimetics are basically like your skill tree. Well, not really skill tree, but it's like unlocking the things that you can build, right, in your base. So these usually require a lot of energy links, and you will not be able to have just enough to actually unlock everything, especially as soon as phase 2 season 2 has phase 2 opens up, because tiers 4 and 5 in mimetic screen will be unlocked, and it's going to require you a lot of energy links to actually unlock everything. So yeah, I'm gonna be sharing to you some ways on how you can earn more energy links, and two of those are here in mimetics, right here, and it's the mimetics mastery. Okay, these things you unlock every 5 levels that you have in your character. So right now I'm level 35, so I have 7 unlocked. So as soon as you reach level 50, you'll have 10 mimetics masteries. Okay, so two of these things will be, of course, RNG. So where is it? One of them is precious metal refining. Well, this one will usually just come in once you have access to tier 4 and tier 5 areas, because gold ingots and silver ingots will be spawning in there as replacements to, or yeah, kind of replacements to tungsten ores and aluminum ores. So you'll be able to get gold ingots and silver ingots from those, and you'll be able to sell them for money. So I think gold, when smelted, is going to be 12k. I think silver is 10k if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the correct numbers. And then we also have another thing here for Mimetics Mastery, which is combo chipset. So this one's a much easier one to get. So you can just convert electronic parts, metal scrap, and parts into the combo chipset, and this one sells for 8,000 each. But it's going to require 30 each, right? 30 electronic parts, 30 metal scraps, and 30 parts. So it's going to be hard to get all of those as well. But if you've been doing a lot of looting every time you get into the game, this is going to be very, very easy to do. Those are the ways where you can get energy links. And of course, one of the more traditional ways to actually just earn energy links is to just smelt iron. This thing, smelt this into steel and then sell stacks of it, right? So if you don't have those mimetics masteries yet, or better yet, in your supplies workbench, if you don't have the combined chip yet, this thing, combo chipset, you can just use the metal parts and craft daggers. Daggers also sell for not a lot, but sell for quite okay amount for the metal parts that you have. So once you've gotten your vehicle as well, so this is something that you want to be doing early on in the game. But whenever you see cars like this ones on the road, along the sides of the roads, make sure to loot them as well. I think I've looted these things already, so they won't show up. But these car trunks will usually have oil or fuel for them. So you will need a lot of them to add to your motorcycle or vehicle of choice, of course, whenever you've been traveling for a while. So it's going to be very useful. And sometimes they give you parts as well that you might actually need. And these are easy places for you to get them. And I never really thought that you can loot these things until I actually tried to loot them. So yeah, maybe a rookie mistake on my part, but yeah. Okay, so another nifty trick that you might not know is that these storage crates can be renamed. So for example, you can just click on this thing right here when you open it, right? So you open it, there's this thing that says edit, and you can just change the name, say bullets maybe, so that when it comes to organizing your items, you will not have a hard time. Like this one says materials, this one says bullets, and it's not going to be hellish whenever you start to try to find the things that you actually need. But of course, again, it's going to need some discipline from you in trying to actually put the correct items into the correct storage crates. Okay? Then lastly, I'm going to give you a quick tip when it comes to base building. So you can see here my base already kind of looks decent, right? I've added a lot of customizations. I've built it for a long time. I spent so much time building it for fun when I'm just bored. So it's like I'm playing Sims, you know. But anyways, something that you have to think about is the placement of this thing, the Stardust Resonant Filter. Because basically when you do this one, this is a content where you will be defending this thing. So it's like a base defense thing, right? It's a base defense thing where you will be able to get star crumbs, and star crumbs are your gacha currency. Okay, so sometimes it's going to be quite hard to actually be defending this one. So the placement of this item, this thing right here, is actually going to matter a lot, especially if you have a base built like mine already that's like furnished, because there are some mobs out there that will be throwing out explosives like the umbrella lady or something else, right? They're going to destroy your base, man. Like, believe me, they're going to try to destroy your base. So the best way to actually place this one is to have it placed like, maybe, I don't know, it depends on where you put your base, right? So for example, I just put it over here, wherein it's just gonna be right in front of my door. And what I can do is to just replace this door with a wall and do the same thing on the other side. And once you've done that, the monsters that will be spawning out in this place, they will try to rush straight, right? They will try to walk straight into this place, straight into where I've put the thing, right? The Stardust filter, right? They're going to try to walk straight. They're gonna try to find a straight line to walk through. Okay, that's what they're going to try to do. So of course, knowing that, you're gonna want to place your turrets carefully or being mindful of that so that you'll be able to hit them correctly when they spawn out. And of course, hopefully nothing important in your base gets destroyed. So it's important to put everything, like all these things that do something in a side that you don't really mind, that you don't really want to get destroyed. So in the middle of my house, it's basically very empty. Like, it has some furnitures because I don't want it to look empty. But once I start that thing, everything here is gonna be destroyed, and I already know it's going to be destroyed. So I'm fine with that, right? I know that's going to happen, and I'm gonna let it happen. It's fine because we can replace it anyway. But at least now you know, and you're not gonna be building something that's going to be a disaster. All right. So anyways, that's going to be pretty much it for me. If you have any questions or any other guides and other tips that you want to share, let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. If this was very helpful, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye.